Hey team, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to present two test questions on Python using multi-dimensional list. These are for beginners, so this is something to test your skills. Question 1 is quite easy. Notice that we have an input object called players. It is a list, and that list contains lists, so we call that a multi-dimensional list. Notice I want you to loop over that. Then in the output, print the row. I want to start with 1. Computer programmers, we start at 0, but the average person doesn't know 0. So say I want 1, and then the names I want in sorted order. It's quite easy. This should take you no more than 10 minutes. Use your favorite editor or go to colab.research.google.com and you can use this editor, which is quite nice. In the comments below is the source code for players, the multi-dimensional list, so you don't have to type that in. Good luck. Question 2 is an input multi-dimensional list. Notice the rows in there are different lengths. When you get done with this, notice in the output, the length of each of the elements inside of the list numbers, each of them have 7 numbers. They're sorted in the bottom. Notice the first one goes from 1 to 20, 21 to 42, and then 45 to 64. I only want you to use one list to solve this problem. So input, fix it, output, each row will have 7 entries. I think you got it. Now, this is something that will probably take between 10 to 20 minutes. Use your favorite Python editor or go to colabs.research.google.com and type in your program and execute. Below in the comment area, I have provided the numbers multi-dimensional list object, so you don't have to type that in. This program should take you no more than 15 to 20 minutes to solve. Good luck. And there you have 2 questions. Now, these are challenging, especially if you are new to programming, but they are doable. Now, all you have to do is think about it, maybe take some notes, and just don't jump into programming. Make sure you understand the problem. If you have questions about the questions, put a comment down there and I will try to answer those. But pretty much, like a lot of times in programming, this is kind of like all we are told. So this is real world. We have 2 questions and you would need to solve them. Now the answers are coming up. If you have no idea how to solve them, please look at the answers. No need to struggle. But the goal is you want to get better at programming, and these are 2 good test questions. So the answers are here. Proceed with caution, do your best. And when you are done and you would like to upload your solutions, the comments below, I'm sure there's 1,000 users that would love to see what you've done. So there you have it, team. Good luck, and I'll see you at the finish line. So let's do this. I've given this to you in the comments below. Now let's do this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is for P in players. And then I'm going to say player count equals the length of P. So what that's going to do is see how I said P here? And I'm going to tell you how many items that are in this list. And when I come around again and get the next row, I'm going to get the number of players. So that's what this line does right here. And then what I'm going to do is for that P, I'm going to sort that. And then what we can do is, let's actually kick out some output here. So I'm going to say now for name in P, right? And then I'm going to say, okay, so notice that we have commas between our names, except the last person doesn't get a comma. So I need some kind of counter. I'm going to call that index. So I'm going to say index equals 1. And then I'm going to say if index is less than the player count, print the name plus a comma and plus, and then I want that all to appear on the same line, so I have to say end equals, I have to turn off that carriage return there. So that is my if, and then in my else, we're just going to print the name, and that'll be for the last person. And okay, so that's that done. And then we have to increment this index. So index equals index plus 1. All right, that's cool. And then I want this blank line down there at the bottom, so I'm going to need to come down there and give that a print. And now I'm going to need to build this line right here, this row thing. And before I do this, I guess I can do it right here. Let me see, we're going to say print. Let me see, we'll do formatted. And then row colon equals, and then some placeholder. And then has player count. Players. And what are we going to put here? That is the row number. Okay, so I'm going to say a row number here. Row number equals 0, initialize, and then I'll say row number equal row number plus 1. And let's copy that into there. And okay, let's give this a whirl. Let's run it. And so row 1 has 8 players, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No comments at the end. There you have it, team. Example 1 all done. Let's look at the source code again so you can see it all. So let's see the way I thought of solving this. Remember, all programs can be solved 1,000 different ways. This is just the way I would solve this. So I had first thought about making all the length 7, and then I was like, no, that's going to be too complicated. That's going to take a lot of coding to do that. So what I would like to do is kind of like rebuild that number list and kind of make it look like this. So I'd copy all of these all down to this bottom, and don't worry about these. And then once I kind of get them into here, then what I would do is I would sort these in reverse order. So it would be from like a 64 to 1. And then I would kind of like loop over this and take 7 and put, 1 to 20 in this one, and then 21 to 42 in this one. And then these would still be that high to low, so I'd have to resort this bottom row, and that'd be done. So that's the way I would solve this. Let's do that. So let's do this. I'm going to say row count equals the length of numbers. That will return me 3. And then, of course, I'm going to be needing a variable that can point at that as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little while loop. While r is less than row count minus 1. Now, this right here is going to actually return me 3, but this is 0, 1, 2. So that's why I'm doing this less than minus 1 here. And then what we can do is I have to find out how many items are in each one of these lists. So what we can say is we can say element count equals the length of numbers sub r. And r is 0, so this first one will be 4. That's what element count's going to be. And then we can say some kind of x equals 0, and then while x is less than element count, okay, and while that's less than that, what we want to do is we want to take all of these values and stick them on this bottom line. So how do we say that? We would say numbers sub, that would be a row count minus 1, right? Because row count would give us 3, so 2. So that would give us 2. And then we want to say append. And then we're going to say numbers sub r dot pop. All right, cool. So that will take this off of this one and stick them onto that one. And then we'll come up again, get the next row and take them down. And notice that we're using this R and numbers. So, okay, so I'll be popping that off there. And we need to increment this x here. X equals x plus 1. Notice that has to be less than element count. All right, so that's the way that'll work. And then we need to increment this r here. So we're going to say r equals r plus 1. And, okay. So now we've got all of the elements down here to this bottom row. So what I'd like to do now is sort that. So I would say numbers sub row count minus 1 dot sort. And then what I'd like to do is say print numbers so we can see where we're at. And let's get this out of there. And let's run this, see where we're at. So notice I cleaned out sub 0, sub 1, and then all of the numbers are in this list right here. But when we pop these off, we need to put this in reverse order. Good call, good call. So what do I have to say there? I have to say reverse equals true. That would make 64 down here. Let's run that again so we can just see that. So 64, okay, nice. And now it's just taking these off here and repopulating these. And we're almost done here. Let's do this. So the first thing we need to do is kind of like figure out how many numbers are going to go in each row. So let's call that max number per row. That makes kind of sense. Equals, let me see, that's going to be numbers sub r row count. We got a minus 1 there. And okay, so then I'm going to take the length of that. And then I'm going to divide that by 3. Does that make sense? Yeah, divide that by 3. And then I got to get the int value of that. Okay, all right. I'm going to go with that. And let's reset this r to 0 because we keep using that. And then while r is less than row count minus 1, just like we did here. I mean, we're doing the same thing now. And then what I want to do is, the goal is I want to pop it off this list here, this sub 2, the last one, and I want to start rebuilding these previous ones. So how are we going to do that? We're going to say, okay, all right, so while some x is less than max number row, right? Okay, initialize that x is 0. And then we're going to say, so we set that our row to be 0. So numbers sub r dot append. What are we going to append that from? Well, we're going to append it from this entry at the very, I got to move this up so you can see that. I'm going to append it from this one down here. So that's numbers sub row count -1. Then we're going to say the pop command. Okay. So I'm going to take it from here, and then I'm going to put it, I'm going to append it into this. And then we have to increment our x equals x plus 1. And then now as I finish up this right here, max number per row. So we're going to be putting like 7 elements in there. So then I have to increment my row, right? I initialized it at 0. So then after I get out of that while loop, I need to say r equals r plus 1. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see where we're at. I'm going to say print numbers, and let's run this. Let's see where we're at. All right, so I got my first set of numbers, second set, and then these are still, so I got to resort those. So how do we do that? So we're going to say numbers sub row count -1 dot sort those. Let's run that again. All right, now they're sorted. Okay, nice. And now I have to print these, right? So I don't want it to be all ugly like this. Okay, so what we say is, let me see. So for line in numbers, print a line, and let's see what that looks like. Go. Okay, nice. And that is it. There we are. Let us just take a look at that source code one more time, starting at the top. Press pause when you can so you can get all this, and then I will scroll to the bottom here. And that is all the source code there. Really wasn't very many lines of code, and it looked like my pseudocode at the top solved the problem pretty easily. You know, I didn't have to do a bunch of complex stuff. Maybe I should have cleaned this up a little bit so I didn't have to always do -1. That would have been nice to maybe clean that up. But there you go. Second problem solved. You did it. There was 2 questions, list, Python. You were able to solve it. Hopefully you learned a few things or two, and that is a great accomplishment. I appreciate you supporting my channel. And if you want more videos like this where I present questions and then you answer them and I show you the way I would do it, and remember, mine is just one of 1,000 ways that it can be solved. It's not the right way, it's my way. So your way is your way, and that's the beautiful thing about programming. We all get to be our own little, solutions. Okay, so I'll see you back in my next video. Have a great week, okay?